It's time, baby. It is time. The 2024 NFL Draft is right around the corner, and that means it's prospect season, baby, and that's why y'all are tapped into the absolute best that prospect season has to offer, and that's DD. So if you're new to the channel, if it's your first time, we appreciate you being in the building, but baby, this is what we do. Rookie scouting, talking about how these players are going to translate to the NFL, whether you're a fan of your favorite 32 teams or fantasy football, this is the place to be. And I am so excited to kick things off with a player that I've literally been talking about for 2 years now, Malik Nabers out of LSU, one of my favorite prospects in this class. Overall, he is a top 10 prospect for me in the entire draft class, and I consider him the 1B to Marvin Harrison Jr.'s 1A. But you came here to figure out how he's going to be and impact our fantasy football rosters next year, or you're here just to see how he's going to assimilate onto the NFL. Let's dive right into the numbers, dive into the tape, and talk a little bit about this young, exciting player. Malik Nabers, 6 foot, 200 pounds, out of LSU, played his collegiate ball 3 years in the SEC, which most people believe that is one of the top prep conferences prior to going on to the NFL that there is. So a lot of competition inside the SEC and a lot of competition amongst his own team. It's hard to find out where a player is headed if you don't know where the player came from. For when you're looking at Malik Nabers in his high school profile, he was one of the top players in the country, a top 150 recruit according to 24/7 Sports. But he was only the third highest rated wide receiver amongst his own team in 2021. LSU recruited 2 wide receivers, Deion Smith, their highest rated guy, no longer on the squad, and Brian Thomas Jr., who played alongside Malik Nabers the past 3 seasons, were both rated higher than Nabers coming out of high school, which just shows his path to getting opportunity was not given to him. He had to go earn that role, earn that opportunity. He also played with somebody that we thought was going to be drafted a lot higher than what he ended up going. Kayshon Boutte, who was picked by the New England Patriots, was also on that squad last year with Malik Nabers. So again, you've got a receiver that's got the prototypical size in today's NFL, 6 foot, 200 pounds, right around that same size. Jamar Chase listed at 6'1", 200. So LSU does a pretty good job with their height and weight. So I'm going to assume he's going to come in close to that. Maybe 5'11 and a half, 6 foot. That's fine by me. 200 pounds, 195. You can look at him and tell by his physical makeup that he's got the requisite size to handle both outside and inside duties at the NFL level. But let's dive into the stats a little bit and talk about what he was able to accomplish during his time at LSU. Well, one of the things that's most impressive to me and most important is these players' ability to get on the field right away. And while he didn't have some 1,000-yard season, some 800-yard dynamic true freshman season, Nabers did play in his true freshman season, and he contributed to that LSU team's success and their roster. And he followed that up with a 1,000-yard sophomore season campaign, and then we all know what he did this season. 89 receptions, 1,569 yards, in 14 touchdowns, averaging 17.6 yards per reception, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, produced as a freshman, got to play as a freshman while sharing the field with a very talented wide receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. and Kayshon Boutte his true sophomore year. So when you're just looking at the numbers, he finishes his LSU career as the all-time leading receiver in terms of yards and receptions. And LSU's got a long history of absolutely dynamic collegiate and professional wide receivers. And yes, you all probably know the common names, Odell Beckham Jr., Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, but you can go back to early Doucette, Michael Clayton. They've had some absolute dogs. Reed out there on the outside, whose record Malik Nabers broke. Skylar Green, Dwayne Bowe. The list of talented wide receivers that have gone through Baton Rouge, Louisiana is endless. And Malik Nabers in 3 seasons and really 2.5 seasons of competition where he was really on the field earning opportunity, bested all of them. Now, he didn't quite get there as the all-time leader in touchdowns. That still is Josh Reed, but his teammate Brian Thomas, 24 touchdowns, tied for third along with Justin Jefferson. Malik Nabers, I believe, has 23, so he's right inside that top 6. So when you just look at his production, just the raw numbers, no concerns about production. The profile matches up. And then looking at PFF, some advanced statistics, some advanced data, when you look at his 93.1 receiving grade, it was the highest in college football of qualified receivers, and my threshold for that was a minimum of 80 targets, and it was the highest graded PFF wide receiver since Devonta Smith's Heisman season, where he boasted a 95.6 grade in that season. so far where Nabers sits in the last decade when just looking at PFF receiving grade, 4th highest score, only behind the aforementioned Devontae Smith. Andy Isabella snuck in there somehow, some way. And back in 2014, Amari Cooper had a slightly higher score than Malik Nabers. So when you're just looking at what he did this season, highest receiving grade in the class, Marvin Harrison Jr., 6th. Rome Odunze, a lot of people's wide receiver 2-3, 8th overall in PFF receiving grade in 2023. So over at Destination Devi, our director of analytics, Jordan Backus, has created a bunch of different tools that you can use, most notably the Trinity Tracker, which you hear me talk about all the time, the WAR tool, but he's got an NCAA comparison tool where you can look at multiple wide receivers stacked and layered on top of each other and kind of compare what they've done respective to certain categories. I'm going to pull that up right now. We'll talk about Malik Nabers, the individual, and then him versus some of these great college football wide receivers and some of the wide receivers inside of his own draft class. So let's pull that up right now. Boom. Let's talk about Malik Nabers and what his graph looks like. So you see right here, looking at his 2023 season, yards per route run, damn near 100th percentile, air yard share close to 100th percentile, target share, there he is, filling out that spider graph. Yards after the catch per reception, a little bit lower, the lowest on this list, which he's absolutely dynamic after the catch. PFF receiving grade, we know how high that is, 100th percentile, and then EPA per target. So when you're just looking at this graph in particular, it just shows that this young man, this young player is pretty well-rounded in all the important categories: air yard share, getting down the field, target share, the ability to earn opportunity. When you get the ball, what do you do after the catch? And then your yards per route run, very critical component. Malik Nabers satisfies all of those categories. Now let's take a look at him layered against some other players who were awesome in college football. CeeDee Lamb. And you see this spider chart for Malik Nabers. It dwarfs CeeDee Lamb on the right-hand side, but Lamb a little bit better. EPA per target was a little better. And CeeDee Lamb was a yak monster coming out of Oklahoma, but target share, air yard share, yards per route run, all higher for Malik Nabers than CeeDee Lamb in his final season of competition at Oklahoma. You see this one right here, this chart, Jamar Chase versus Malik Nabers. So we're looking at Chase's 2019 record-breaking season layered on top of Malik Nabers' 23 season. And you see Nabers ahead of Jamar Chase in just about everything except for yak and EPA per target. Now let's get down to this year's class and take a look at Nabers versus many people's and most wide receiver 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's tough. I mean, air yard share, Marv's got him a little bit. Target share, it looks like Malik Nabers edging him out. Malik Nabers a little bit better after the catch than Marvin Harrison Jr. Receiving grade goes to Malik Nabers, and then the EPA per target is in Marvin Harrison's court. And it just shows you that there is no wide receiver 2 in this class, in my opinion. It's 1A, 1B in Malik Nabers, and 1C in Rome Odunze. All 3 of these players are dynamic wide receivers who should enter an NFL offense and immediately earn targets inside of that offense. So let's talk about some of the things that Malik Nabers does well. We'll talk about some team fits, some player comparisons. Let's go to what he does well and pull up the actual film so we can take a look at that while we discuss. Here we go. We got the Nabers film pulled up, and let's take a look at some of his best attributes. You'll see right here, Jaden Daniels rolling out, catches the ball, and outruns and evades the entire Mississippi State defense. The speed, the acceleration, in my opinion, his number 1 calling card is just how dynamic he is with the ball in his hands. His body control, you see right here, back shoulder, end zone, falling away, defensive back on him, and he still finds a way to maintain the catch and come down with it. Right here on the bottom of the screen, if you're going to isolate him one-on-one against the safety, it's just unfair. And you see the extra burst and gear on that play to track the ball down. Ball tracking ability is elite. Nice little play. Just pick up the first down. No thank you. I've got enough speed to take this thing to the house. And then he's physical down at the bottom of the screen against one of the top corners in this class, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Get off me and then go snag the ball. Strong hands. He's a sure-handed catcher. He's got incredible play strength, incredible play body control, and then the acceleration and the speed are second to none. When he gets the ball in his hands, he has the ability to take that thing the distance every single time he touches the ball, and you've got to wrap him up and take him down. You can't arm tackle this kid. He's physical. He's got the size at 200 pounds, and you just see his ability to accelerate is so impressive. Second to none in this class. Again, boom. You come in throwing some haphazard shoulder, and Nabers is going to break out of that. He does not go down easily. This is the type of wide receiver that number one guys are made of. This type of stuff right here. You watch this, top of the screen, boom, sink your hips, get down, comeback route. Should just be a first down, but no thank you. I'm going to do damage after the catch. That's what Malik Nabers offers and brings to the table. One more time, sprint right, roll out, just a quick hitter right here. Should be a 5-6 yard gain, but because he's so good after the catch and he's always looking to extend plays and go down the field, he's able to pick up more. And then if you're doing this one-on-one coverage with the safety, if he's even, he's leaving. This is just pitch and catch for a wide receiver of his caliber, of his skill set. You cannot do it. And again, scheme, team, and formation, independent. It does not matter. He can play on the inside. He can go outside and play that X. He can beat you in the slot. Just an absolute mismatch problem for defensive coordinators. You see that littered all over his 2023 tape. This young man, I'm just going to tell you right now, he reminds me a lot of former LSU wide receiver Jamar Chase. Not my official Playstyle Comp. We'll get to that in a second. We've got to talk about some of the team fits and where he could go to really make a true impact. Most notably, see him mocked to the New York Giants, who absolutely lack a number one wide receiver, and I think it would be an incredible fit. While the quarterback situation is still a little bit shaky with Daniel Jones at the helm, you get him an elite wide receiver like this. You pair him up with Wan'Dale Robinson and his ability to operate those short intermediate targets, do damage after the catch. Jalen Hyatt, the rookie from Tennessee last year, maybe get him more involved vertically, up the seams, down the field. Darren Waller back healthy. You've got Bellinger, still got to figure out that running back situation. He would slot in as that team's number one wide receiver sooner rather than later. You look at the Los Angeles Chargers. It would seem that one of Keenan Allen or Mike Williams would need to be out the door, but we just didn't see anything from Quentin Johnson this season. You're going to have a new head coach at the helm, so maybe they bring in a guy to pair with the extremely talented franchise quarterback, Justin Herbert. And if that were the case, I would love to see Nabers a year with Keenan Allen, with Justin Herbert, learning the ropes from the vet. That would be a great spot long-term for Malik Nabers. I think the Arizona Cardinals are also a potential landing spot for Nabers. Right now, everybody is mocking Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Arizona Cardinals at pick 3, but who's to say? Pick 4, but who's to say? What if the New England Patriots select Marvin Harrison Jr.? We don't know what the Bears are going to do. I think they draft quarterback, but what if they opt for the best player available in the draft, which is Marvin Harrison Jr., leaving Arizona still a massive need at the wide receiver position? I'm going to just tell you right now, Cards fans, while I know the idea, we all want Marv there, if you have to settle, and I'm using air quotes settle for Malik Nabers as the wide receiver 2 off of the board, you are in great hands if that's in fact who you guys choose. And one dark horse team for me would be the aforementioned Chicago Bears. They take a quarterback at the top of the first round, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, whoever it is that they like. Some other stuff shakes out. You get some teams trade up to grab a quarterback. There's a chance that Nabers is there at 9 when the Chicago Bears pick. I also like the Jets as a potential trade-up candidate to go grab this young, talented wide receiver. Overall, I don't care where he lands for fantasy purposes. I want Nabers. He is landing spot independent to me. It doesn't matter where he's at. He doesn't need a certain offense. He doesn't need a certain scheme. I watched the tape, a lot of tape on Nabers. I've watched him near every LSU game since he came in. I'm a big fan of the LSU Tigers and of Malik Nabers. Every player's got a weakness, and I've asked a lot of people, what are his weaknesses? I don't see many. Some people say the catch radius isn't quite there. I see him go gadget arms a bunch of balls. Maybe the route running isn't as defined and as crisp. Don't give a shit about any of that. I really see little to no weaknesses in his game. It's just his ability to keep his head on straight, go put in the work, grind. Malik Nabers should not fail at the next level, which leads me to the Playstyle Comp. That's what everybody wants to know. Who is he? What's he play like? Who do you project him to translate to? I'll just say this. When I give Playstyle Comps, this does not mean that this player is going to turn into this athlete at the next level. one of the people that I respect and trust in this industry tremendously. I've got a very good relationship with ESPN's Jordan Reed. He's most notably compared him to DJ Moore.
You talk about somebody that's an exciting play waiting to happen. He led the country in receiving yards this year at just over a shade of 120 yards per game, 27 forced missed tackles this year, which was 6th in the FBS ranks. And he's one player that I love. When I go back to watch the film after these games on Saturday, I knew that a big play was going to happen with Malik Nabers. He reminds me a lot of DJ Moore.
Because of the acceleration, the run after the catch ability, just how good DJ Moore is on those back shoulder fades, the body control, the ball placement, the feet. It's a great comp. I love the DJ Moore comp. The physicality reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase out of LSU. Both of those guys built very similar, play a lot of the same games. But for me, my personal play style comp, and if you guys don't know the name, you might need to go watch some highlights. I'm digging back and showing some of my age just a tad bit, even though he retired in 2007. But former St. Louis Rams wide receiver Isaac Bruce.
What you talking about, Bruce?
Isaac Bruce was 6 foot, 188 pounds. I think he checked in during his combine at 5'11 and a half. So very comparable in size. Malik Nabers a little bit bigger, but Isaac Bruce was phenomenal with Tony Banks, with Mark Bolger, with Kurt Warner. He can do a little bit of everything. After the catch, ball tracking ability down the field, speed to pull away from defenders. He was incredible. The body control, the footwork. Isaac Bruce is my play style comp for Malik Nabers. Where should we value him for rookie draft purposes? Shit, he's a top 5 pick across all formats. I don't care if it's super flex, tight end premium, single quarterback. I mean, in single quarterback formats, he's coming off the board as the 102. Like, make no mistake about that. Super flex, he's a top 5 kid. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the only player that I would take ahead of Malik Nabers from a skill position standpoint. You get to super flex, you get into Caleb May, Jaden Daniels. Playstyle comp, Isaac Bruce. He's a top 5, top 3 locked and loaded pick in rookie draft formats, and I highly, highly suggest you go check out some Isaac Bruce highlights because that's who this young man reminds me of. Malik Nabers, I've been talking about him for 2.5 years now. I'm excited to see him matriculate onto the NFL. I'm even more excited to draft him for fantasy football purposes. So appreciate y'all tapping into this quick hitting film session. We'll be doing this all off season, profiling the top players in this class and some players you may not know about either. Thank y'all for tapping in. If you enjoyed this one, I try to get you in and out of the building as quickly as possible. Hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe. Comment below. Let me know what you think about Malik Nabers and how damn excited you are to draft this young man here in 2024. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Stay locked in. Got a lot of good stuff coming from Destination Devi. Y'all have a good one. Be blessed. I'm out. Peace.